So apparently YouTube says we are now live. I've been talking to the camera for a good minute while that's not been streaming, but in theory, there we go, I'm live. It doesn't look too laggy to me, so that's good. As I said, feel free to say hi in the chat if you are here. Feel free to say hello. There's now 3 watching. Yes, get in. Hello, people. So I'm going to post this on Twitter and Facebook, and then we will be off to the races. Let's just have a reload. I use the Great Suspender for Chrome, which is always fun. Which means I have to constantly reload the page just to get at what I want. But yeah, say hello, people. Hello, people. I don't know why I'm saying that. But yeah. Hello, Daryl. How you doing? I think my chat window is actually a little bit slower than the actual chat window on the page, so this is good. I'm gonna stop watching that so I can just look at the chat and stuff like that and focus. You know, this is a thing. Please use a keyframe frequency for what? Apparently I have a problem with the live stream. Hello, Christian. Greetings. Oh, nice. AJ Rose 001. Nice job. Hey, Lois. How you doing? So is the actual live stream quality all right for everyone? Can everyone hear? Hello, Andy. I am also Andy. This is weird. Hello. Yeah, is the quality all right for you? Is the stream actually like dropping frames or something? Because the YouTube sort of control center says something about the primary stream being naff. So yeah, let me know what the actual quality's like. Cool. Thanks, Daryl. Right. So I think awesome. I actually have my my studio like 500 LED light sort of. I might post a picture of this on Twitter later, but yeah, really terrible. Oh, Kilt is under the desk, but unfortunately because of my seating position, you can. Nah. But yeah, no, I've got the light, which is rather how would Linus say it, jankily set up. So I've got that one set up, and obviously just at a Logitech C920 Pro Stream webcam, as well as screen capture. I should probably turn off the Great Suspender so that it doesn't suspend all of my tabs, so that I then spend 5 minutes trying to. Unfortunately, I don't. I do own a guitar that's sitting 10 feet that way, but not bagpipes. Speaking of the Great Suspender, it already suspended the tab that I wanted to unsuspend. Right, it just never suspend the site. It's just right. Don't suspend for now. Don't suspend for now. Right. Okay. We've got this sorted. Right. No, no. I'm not too bad at guitar, but I'm certainly not great. It's not a skill that I necessarily want to feel comfortable with showing off, at least at this point in my career, you know. No. But yeah. So how's everyone? How's your day going? I take it most of you are UK based since the time. Take it. Yeah, there's not much delay, at least I'm saying this about 3 seconds after you type that comment, so that should give you... it's an electroacoustic, Christian. It is not... I think it is a Stag officially, but it's not anything too fancy. I've technically been... Oh, nice, Daryl. Awesome. What time is it over there? As that's Arizona, right? So you're quite far, so that must be 6-7 hours? That's pretty crazy. Oh god. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not that bad, but I'm not great. Yeah. Oh, nice. Nice. Canada. What side of Canada? And also 12 p.m. Okay, so lunchtime. This turns out to be an excellent time. Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, now that there's 14 people here, just to clarify, purely just a chat, a stream to say hello, to chat to you guys and to have a look at a couple of stories that I think are kind of interesting and could be some good conversation pieces. But yeah, nothing show-like. It's not fancy. There's no, TV-like graphics. This isn't the news necessarily. Technically it is, but live stream is a live stream. So just say hello, say hi, and all that jazz. Well, actually, I do. not quite. I don't have an RX Vega card. I do actually have a graphics card that's sitting just down there for chatting about later, but it's not a Vega card. It is actually an AMD card though, and it is an RX card, so that's cool. What bands am I into? I have a ridiculously eclectic taste, because I go from kind of metal, Metallica, and Guns N' Roses, and actually I've been listening to the Rock Gods playlist on Spotify quite a lot, all the way to kind of poppy trash, kind of Ed Sheeran-y kind of stuff. So quite an eclectic taste. I spent a lot of time listening to 3 Days Grace, Bullet for My Valentine, and what was the other one? Five Finger Death Punch. So a bit of a mix. Yeah. What about you guys? Actually, does anyone know any of those bands? Ooh, 17. Sweet. Martin, just one question. It's not the time to move from X99 to 58. Yeah, a bit of Biffy Clyro. A little bit. Love Piano Man for some reason. Yeah, so with Martin, with X299 versus X99. X299 is actually something that I want to talk about at some point, but generally speaking, I wouldn't say that now is a time to upgrade from a 5820K to a 7800X. I don't really think that there's a massive difference there that's worth going for. I mean, if you're going for a higher core count, maybe, but then also Ryzen is a pretty interesting shout, especially for the value for money. So yeah, probably not worth it, especially if you are just gaming. But yeah, cool. Well, let's jump into some of the topics. Oh, nice rush. Yeah, fair play. Right, yeah, so I should, there's a bit of an issue with the camera and OBS in that when I switch scenes, if I have a scene with the camera on it and then I switch to screen capture plus the camera, it won't work until I kind of switch to one, have it deactivate, and then switch it to another. Hello. Oh, £1. I am very grateful. Thank you. That is genuinely amazing. Xbox Master Race. Oh God, what have we done? Oh God. But no, thank you, Auntie Doug. It's very kind. Message retracted. Did you have a message? Because it didn't show me a message before. So if there was a message and now you've retracted it, I am extra confused. Also, Skeeps, this is the first live stream. Yes, Martin, this is the first live stream. It's not my first ever live stream. I have live streamed before. In fact, the last time that I actually live streamed to YouTube was quite a long time ago. There is archives of that, but yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend going and looking at it. But yeah, let's have a look after I play. I don't know why it says message retracted then. Anyway, let's have a look. So I'm going to switch to the story, and then in theory, I can be up in the top corner. Yay! Forza 6, no I haven't. I don't actually own any of the Windows Store games because A, I hate the Windows Store, and B, I hate the Windows Store, and C, I am mildly poor, so... Right, so the first thing that I want to kind of push towards, if I work out which direction we're talking about, is this kind of interesting kind of robotic story. If you watch Level 1 Tech, you know that they talk about a robotic story every single week, so I thought it'd be good to talk about one. So first thing, this one I found kind of funny because this is basically an automated grocery kind of thing, where I think this is probably the best image of it. So it's a kind of mobility mart, kind of your local, if you're from the UK, a sort of Spar or One Stop kind of shop, or if you're from the US, then I guess a 7-Eleven is probably going to be a fairly similar thing. So this sort of thing is and I want to quote the exact thing that it says. So this is a self-driving, cashier-free, drone delivery, AI-powered, solar-powered, air cleaning, pharmacy, coffee and tea dispenser, ATM, and grocery store. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. So this thing is kind of insane for basically driving up to fairly near your location. I'm guessing that you're meant to buy stuff via an app or something similar, and then it literally, drones will fly from the top of it and drop your food off. So I think this is it's also a vending machine, so it's obviously going to be big enough to be able to drive on a standard road, so it's not going to be wider than a car, but at the same time, the fact that it has drone delivery, solar powered, it's also an air cleaner, it's also, as I said, solar powered, it's also going to serve as a small pharmacy, as well as a small Starbucks kind of thing, and an ATM if you actually go up to it. It's kind of crazy. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Well, I don't know where the comments are. I think they're off to the side. I think they're off that way. I could be wrong, but yeah. Oh, UK Master Race. RX Vega, yes, I do intend on getting one, although that depends on whether the UK PR rep is kind and lets me have one. But yeah. Oh, Hardware Canucks, yes, I met Dimitri and Eber out at Computex. Very nice guys, very, very nice indeed. But yeah, what do you think of this? This is kind of insane. I mean, it's meant to be AI driven as well. I've actually been looking into writing an AI for, well, not for myself, but kind of somewhat for a video, where I basically want to use Google's TensorFlow, potentially even OpenAI, so Elon Musk's OpenAI companies, Universe and Gym codes, like code bases. I want to use those, and a few other bits to basically kind of go at and be able to have an AI that can beat a professional team at Counter-Strike. There's currently an AI that's run by one of the Python code teaching people, that's currently a self-driving car in GTA, so I'm basing a lot of the code on that, and he's recently updated that to use Google's TensorFlow and their image recognition, their Inception v3 algorithm, so I should be kind of interested. So, couple questions. Yes, I have met Adore TV, I have met Jim. I speak to him, well, I haven't spoken to him in a little while, but I especially used to speak to him quite a lot. And we actually, he helped write the PresentMon launcher program that actually just updated. So if anyone wants to benchmark DirectX 12 and Vulkan games, check out the GitHub for PresentMon launcher. That is the program that myself and a few other fantastic people, as well as Jim, also co-wrote, and basically it's a sort of program to assist Intel's PresentMon in benchmarking DX12 and Vulkan games. I think Tesla does use an NVIDIA chip for self-driving, although I don't know enough about that specific chip to tell you too much about it. See you, Christian. Nice to have you. Hopefully you can stick around a bit more next time or whatever. Also, Ishmael, yes, that is kind of a concern. Having a sort of someone breaking into it or someone blocking it, especially if you have if someone just parks their car in front of it, then where's that gonna go? Yeah, I would be concerned. I would expect that there's probably a lot of CCTV kind of cameras kind of things, so that if you were to capture it and to break into it, then that might be, it might stop that. But at the same time, there is no need to actually go into it. It is all done via vending machines and drone deliveries, so I'm guessing that this will be not armored in any way, but I'm guessing you couldn't just throw a brick at it and break in kind of thing. Python and C# are the two languages that I write stuff in, and Python is basically the language of AI at the moment. So if you do want to write AI, Python is the way to go. No, not Bandicam overlays in DX12. No. Oh, nice, Martin. Happy to. It's always nice to see the comments that come in where people are just genuinely nice about something, and B, also just to say that I've helped them kind of make a decision or given them information that has genuinely helped in some way. So it's always nice to hear that. What was that? I've asked the Microsoft engineering plan to implement. Yeah, so that would be quite cool. So you Skeeps, yeah, that would be quite cool. The only thing is that what I and the other folk wrote was basically a C# launcher for the C++ program that is PresentMon. So PresentMon uses event tracing for Windows to be able to capture the events that a graphics card or a system goes through to be able to produce a frame, captures all of that, creates quite a lot of data about it, and then fills that out in an entry in a CSV file. The problem was that the CSV file was really annoying to deal with, and yeah, it just wasn't very good to actually work with PresentMon. I don't quite know what you mean, Aiden. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the story, or the story specifically, is quite interesting to me, and there's certainly a lot of automation that is going on. Kind of in the realm of automation is that Volvo is actually thinking about completely removing petrol and diesel powered engines actually by 2019, so only a year and a half away. Obviously depending on when in 2019, so about 2 years away, which is kind of incredible. I would make a note that it says gas only, which means that they are going to be either hybrid or fully electric. They do plan on releasing a few fully electric vehicles fairly shortly, which is quite nice, but they said that it's either going to be a hybrid or fully electric. And obviously Tesla is kind of the leader in this market, so that would be quite cool. So El Diablo, NVIDIA is wrong. So the program that AMD has, which is called OCAT, or I think Open Capturing and Analysis Tool, I think something like that, that's based on that's based on PresentMon as well, with a few other open source codes to allow for that overlay. It's basically very, very similar. The only difference between mine and theirs technically is that theirs is a full integration into the app or the application into C++, whereas mine is actually a launcher that does all of the work of the hotkey of the process selection and automatic process selection, stuff like that, and everything else that it does all inside C#, and then that builds a text string that runs PresentMon based on an argument. So just use either PresentMon launcher or OCAT. for any performance monitoring. Martin, okay, cool. So I'm fairly certain that they are planning on doing at least one, if not multiple, fully electric cars. But the only thing with hybrids is that I'm not sure of the actual the benefit of them. Obviously, there's obviously the benefit of fuel economy for the driver. But it's especially on the sort of the global or the global aspect of it, of having kind of a carbon footprint for hybrid vehicles. The fact that you're creating the LiPo cells, the 18650 cells, as well as obviously still having a petrol or diesel engine, and then obviously the carbon emissions from that, as well as the production of the car and the batteries and the electric motors and the engine, and then all that sort of stuff. I don't know that going hybrid only is actually much more efficient and great for the planet than doing all electric or all kind of gas powered, as they say in the US of A. So yeah, charging points, I've seen loads of them. Pretty much every motorway services that I go to has some form of charging, whether that's a Tesla supercharger or whether that's just standard EV charging. It might only be a couple, but there's actually quite a lot of even like town centre car parks that are building electric chargers in for stuff like Teslas and the Nissan Leaf. So that's just in the UK. So I think there's quite a few more Tesla supercharger stations in the US. And I think that there's more coming as well. I have a few people, friends that I know that have Tesla Model S's in the UK, and they are pretty happy with the situation for charging it. So that's cool. Okay, El Diablo, whereabouts in the world are you? It'd be interesting to know. But yeah. Rob Name. I think that is the plan. Although I actually own a Volvo sitting the other side of that curtain, and I really like the S60 Polestar. That's a very nice car. I would very like to have a go, but fair enough. See El Diablo. But yeah, so nice, fair play. But yeah, I think as far as I'm aware, I don't know whether it was on the sort of more sports car side or whether it was on the economy side, but I'm fairly certain that we're going to do at least one electric, if not more. But yeah, what did I have for notes for this? I do actually have notes. If you, Volvo are also planning to work with NVIDIA to create fully self-driving, fully autonomous at level 4, level 5 self-driving cars by 2021, which is also only a couple of years after that. So I think especially on the fully electric front, it's a lot easier to build a fully self-driving car on fully electric, especially with full electric steering and full electric powertrain as well. So that's probably where they're headed with that, so that they can refine the technology and get higher battery capacities with higher amp loads that are better lifespan, and then kind of build from that. That would be what I would expect. On the same vein, just as a note to anyone who is interested in electric cars, Tesla is actually ahead of schedule, which is a first for them. This is they're actually ahead by 2 weeks at this point, if I understand correctly, for the Model 3 production. And on July 28th, the first 50 customers, first 30 customers will get their cars. There's actually a sort of logarithmic scale of production for this, so there's going to be 30 cars delivered on the 28th. 100 cars total delivered in August, and then September there will be 1,500. And Musk said by December there should be 20,000 Model 3s per year. So that's cool. What do I think of electric bikes doing the Isle of Man TT? They're getting really good lap times. So I do actually quite enjoy motorbikes. I'm not someone who follows a lot of motorsport in general. I have been to the F1 in Spa, Francorchamps. Was very cool. Sat on the En Rouge corner up the hill, but I don't follow bike races as much. I do obviously know about them and stuff. I think in terms of them competing directly with gas, as Americans call them, powered bikes, I don't know that that's necessarily a fair comparison, but at the same time, I suppose if you think about it, a lot of the time the limitation is in grip and in just sheer physics for bikes. I know that even some of the like super high-end super bikes, the biggest issue with them getting off the line is getting off the line and staying flat, because if they put too much power, they'll fall back and fall off, and obviously wheelie like hell. So what algorithm? Anti-duck. What algorithm is that? And what miner are you using? I've actually got a Bitcoin mining video coming up tomorrow. I did make it very clear that unless you already own the cards, especially one of my props, one of the cards, something like this, which is a 570 Strix, which is the one from the budget GPU kind of roundup video. This one is actually pretty nice, but obviously hashing wise and stuff like that, the overall ability of the card is good, but stock availability isn't that great. So if you don't already have one, I don't recommend that you buy them right now, either for gaming or for mining. Obviously the people who are watching these sorts of videos aren't necessarily the sort of people who are buying 50 RX 570s, so I guess it's okay, but at the same time, I mean, Martin, as long as he didn't buy the card just now purely to mine, it's okay, because unless you're also a miner and therefore you're worried that you're going to lose your share, it's not as long as people aren't buying cards to mine, it's not as much of a problem. I think the problem comes when people are buying 50 or RX 480s, RX 580s or whatever purely to mine, and then it's wiping out the stock. I think Gamers Nexus did an interesting video talking to some of the manufacturers, and basically we're saying about how the stock the stock isn't the issues that they will face. So stuff like RMA rates are likely going to massively increase, especially once Ethereum doubles in difficulty. So then the hash rate will halve, and obviously your earnings will halve as well. So stuff like that I think will be interesting. The hash rate won't halve, but the solutions will halve, and therefore output will halve. So in terms of the hash rate, no, I don't think that that's very good. Is that mega hashes, giga hashes? But also the Dagger Hashimoto algorithm seems to be a bit slow in general. So, but obviously Dagger Hashimoto algorithm is the one that's actually mining Ethereum. So that's fine. Mega hashes. So I can't exactly remember because in my testing I used two 470s and a 480 with one 470 in one system and a 470 and a 480 in another system, and I was mostly using the Equihash algorithm because that was a lot more profitable per card and per system really. So check that one out. That's the Claymore miner. I think that's the one. But yeah, as I said, just make sure you're not buying cards, because even in the sort of profitability index, it just isn't that profitable. I've been going in testing for the video. I've had probably an average, if I average it out, somewhere between £5 and £8 a day total. and you're probably talking about £2 of electricity. So in theory, that is somewhere in the realm of £2,000-3,000 a year, which is quite nice. But at the same time, that's not including the cost of the cards. So if you include the cost of two ARCs, 470s, and a 480, you're talking about what, £2,000 in profit, and that's if you run them 24/7 and you have a place for that and all this sort of stuff. So, and that's not including any price increases either, and that's not including difficulty increases. So yeah, there's a lot of things to consider. Hi Jonathan, how are you? How's your day? Do you have an Intel? You have an Intel logo as your. You might not like some of the other topics we're gonna talk about here. So actually, you might like this one. I don't know. We're talking about Vega earlier. I hopefully will get one at some point. I can't guarantee that, but I do hope to get one, and we will see. But the next topic that I just wanted to talk about was the Vega Frontier Edition. And I know that Jim from Adore TV did a video on this. Did have a look. Oh wow, that's fair play. Hello, Prominent Gaming. How are you? But yeah, so this card is, this way, screen is over that way, but this card is kind of crazy because, especially in terms of just raw power, this is a 25 teraflop card. Like, it's kind of crazy in terms of its performance, and especially when it comes to, if you just purely compare the raw speeds to the something like a Titan X XPP, then I think that one is actually faster by a considerable margin when it comes to just raw performance. I'd also mention that these cards are significantly underclocked from what Vega is expected to be running at. I think this one peaks at 1600 versus somewhere in the area of closing in 2000. I don't know if it's actually going to be over 2 gigahertz, but would be interesting. Obviously this one does apparently draw a considerable amount of power and heat. It is, I think, 2 8-pin power connectors, which means a total of 375 watts total possible draw there, so that's kind of crazy. This does use HBM2 and has a base clock of 1382, so this will be kind of interesting to see once we get higher speed versions. I do know that the reason, or at least one of the reasons why RX Vega isn't released yet, and why this one is because this one is obviously priced at $1,000 for the standard air-cooled version. The main reason is purely due to HBM2, so purely because it is such a new technology. It's not available in mass quantity right now. It's also a brand new technology, so they're sort of trying to get the money back on specifically the memory modules, and then as higher volume comes in, as NVIDIA and AMD start to move to HBM2 for a lot of cards, then the price per volume will come down, so then they can release RX Vega so that the cards themselves will be a bit cheaper. I'm interested to see what refinements they can do to the actual architecture itself, because I've seen the benchmarks for this, and it does look pretty considerable in its performance, just sheer teraflops. But in terms of obviously gaming performance, it does look like the driver doesn't have that many optimizations in it, and it also doesn't look like it has that much in a way of gaming performance. Especially if you compare it to, I think it's kind of on the level between 1080 and 1070, depending on what game you're looking at, so that's kind of crazy. Prominent Gaming, you've got a question. What is it? I'm currently deciding between the 1700X and the 7800K, heavily using this for gaming and productivity, gaming software, gaming, coding software, FTP client, web. Hello 9FX, how are you? And media playback and browsers with lots of tabs. So browsers with lots of tabs, you need a lot of RAM. Trust me, I know this because I have a lot of tabs. I have 4 browsers. Don't ask. But yeah. Oh damn, that's bad. Wipe that stat ASOS. I think for me personally, especially with the value for money that the 1700 and or 1700X goes with, I would probably say that one, especially because the 7800X is a 6-core. So you're not getting as many cores for that. You're probably getting slightly faster IPC or single thread performance, but you're probably gonna miss out those 2 cores, especially if you are doing heavily multi-threaded applications. And as gaming gets more core based and stuff like DirectX 12 and Vulkan become more prominent and more optimized, I think that more cores will be pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Biffa here. 1700 and overclock it would be great. How would it work for rendering? What do you mean rendering? As in video rendering or 3D modeling, or what do you mean? So yeah, on the RAM front, I have 32 gigs. I video edit, and it fills up so fast. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Video rendering, so I've actually switched to a 1700X from a 6700K, and I absolutely love it. It is considerably faster. And I would also mention that it actually Dimitri from Hardware Canucks did a video actually fully testing the performance differences and all that sort of stuff, and it's considerably faster, and he was able to render a video and play Overwatch at significantly decent FPS numbers, and still have a great time. So yeah, if you are creating YouTube content, especially if you're creating 4K YouTube content, especially, then I think a 1700X is a pretty good shout, or a 1700 and overclock it as well. Yeah. Silent mechanical keyboard. So specifically, define silent, because obviously you've got so I've got the keyboard that is on that desk there. That one is a Kingston HyperX Alloy FPS. So that one is Cherry MX Blues and is loud AF, whereas the keyboard that is sitting here, actually I can show you it, that is the Cooler Master Master Keys Pro L. That one is Cherry MX Browns, and it's not silent. I mean, you can hear it. If you don't bottom out the keys, it's considerably more silent, as the key switches themselves don't make that much noise. It is mostly just coming from it actually bottoming out the keys. Will I be trying to get hold of Epic or just Threadripper? Definitely Threadripper. I will love that. Epic, I don't know, because it's so server based. Obviously it is the server chips, and that's something that I don't necessarily do too much with. I don't know that I have a use case for it enough that they would give me one to actually play with. If they do give me one to play with, then I would be happy to hear what benchmarks I should run on it, besides of course Cinebench, because of course. Yeah, Threadripper will be very interesting as well. Yeah. Cherry MX Brown Master Race, yes, they are my favourites. I do love blues, but at the same time, browns, yeah, it's cool. Hello, Akshay, is that your name? I don't want to mispronounce your name, especially since you're such a big fan that you've left 2 big fan comments. Thank you. Best keyboard I've ever used, best of the best. See, there's a bit of nostalgia, because the one that Linus still loves, the Logitech G15, that one is really very nice. It feels somewhat mechanical. Actually has a little display at the top. I did a full review of it 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, almost basically when I first started the channel. Yeah, that one's very nice. It's not the best keyboard in the world. That's kind of nostalgia. For me, obviously, I wouldn't be using the Cooler Master Master Keys Pro L if I didn't enjoy it quite a lot and found it lovely. The RG Claymore is actually quite nice, but I feel like it's lacking some functionality a little bit, because you can only attach one thumb pad, which I guess is alright, but especially if you're gonna go for a modular keyboard kind of thing, it'd be nice to be able to have a number pad for when you need it. You could switch it over and that would automatically remap it to be a macro keys set, or you could purchase a macro keys set separately and have two on either side, and maybe even get some custom keycaps as cherry switches and go for it there. I think especially for the price tag as well, I think about £200. It is pretty expensive, especially as I said, considering that this one, the Master Keys Pro L, it's a solid. I mean, it's heavy as hell because it's got a metal backplate. It does have a plastic exterior as opposed to metal or anything, but it is cherry MX brown switches, so I am really impressed with it. I haven't actually tried many Corsair keyboards actually like in the wild. I do have a Strife that's somewhere around these days, but I haven't tried any of the K series. So I haven't tried the K95 Platinum, which is also a very, very expensive keyboard. So yeah, keyboard or wife. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have that problem, especially with Cherry MX Blues. Chinese mechanical keyboard, fair play. I did a full video checking out 4 Chinese mechanical keyboards and a Coolermaster Master Keys Pro M, so that one was actually quite fun. Have I ever had this problem with my graphics card? GPU fans maxed out, black screen, then dies days later. No, I haven't. That kind of sounds like the card just consistently overheated. Perhaps there was bad thermal compound there, or something. I don't know, but yeah, it kind of sounds about right. Perhaps faulty VRMs. 2 secs. Not sponsored. They just send me mugs. It's cool. Awesome. When is Threadripper coming out? I don't know. If I did, I'd probably be under NDA and couldn't tell you anyway, but I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know when the Threadripper chips are coming out. I think they're meant to be fairly soon, although I'm fairly certain that they've said Vega is coming out in the next... actually, in this month. I think RX Vega is meant to be out by the end of the month, if I understand correctly. So, yeah, I don't think I've broken any NDAs there. But yeah, no worries, 9FX. That's cool. That's fine. Yeah, I love. They actually sent me a cut that's really cool. It's got obviously Overclockers UK branding on it, but it's the cup goes red as you heat it up. I don't know why they make these things. Also, do I still have the stickers? I might still have stickers with the guys from Overclockers UK's face on them. They're up there. Actually, they made badges as well. It's brilliant. I love those guys. They're fantastic. X299 is expletive. So we're actually be talking about that in a minute. My favourite X370 motherboard. See, I'm using the Asus Crosshair Hero 6. I really do like that. They have a slightly higher end version. I do actually, that board there with the CPU cooler on it, that one is actually the MSI Titanium. That one is really nice. I did have a lot of complaints on my review that I didn't, bash it for its horrible VRMs, which I can't say I had much problem with. I mean, I've overclocked the 1800X to 4.2 gigahertz on that, or 4.175 on that, and I had no problems, no heat issues. So but yeah, it is quite a nice board. I do quite like the higher end version. I can't remember what Asus has actually called it. I do also like the Gigabyte Aorus Gaming 5. That was the first board that I actually got my hands on and played with. That one's quite nice and seems to be the best for support so far as well, which is cool. New BIOS on B350. The Tomahawk B350 is actually sitting with a Ryzen 1600 on it, just behind the UPS box there. There's also a Z270 Tough Mark 1 board under it. Yeah, I have quite a few things on that shelf, as well as on the many boxes that are just behind the curtain. Do I think AMD will release a new line of CPUs to update a year from now, like Intel? Or like share all three again. So I think that Oh, AM1. No, don't go AM1. I do have an AM1 chip. It is pretty decent as, you know, a media center, but it's not comparable to LGA 2066. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I believe AMD are talking about releasing a Ryzen 2 or a Ryzen Plus or Zen Plus architecture chips within the next year to 2 years. I don't know if it's going to be you know, straight up like bang 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 TikTok architecture like Intel, or whether they're gonna space it out a little bit more. I think it will depend on both obviously R&D cycles and on if sort of the competition that they get will be interesting to see from that. What's my opinion on third-party Cherry keys used by Tesoro Thermaltake? So Thermaltake have actually reached out and will be reviewing one of their mice. It does look a bit funky, which is kind of weird. So I will let you know on that front. I did actually look at third-party sort of Cherry knockoff keys in the budget mechanical keyboard guide. I don't know why I forgot the word for keyboards. And some are definitely better than others. There's also a few issues that I had with them where the one of the keyboards sort of was whining at me, had coil whine just from being plugged in, so that was kind of fun. But yeah, there's certainly there's variation in it, and you do have to kind of find the better side of things. I think the Kali switches are generally okay. Obviously, Razer has their own switches, or they have them made by someone. I still have this lovely thing with their green, orange, and yellow switches. So RGB all the way, of course. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's just a case of finding the right ones and the ones that actually work well. You're gonna buy Threadripper? Wow. Okay, fair play. What for? If you are planning on doing like content creation and stuff like that, then oh, okay. Yeah, 270X. Maybe update the graphics card first. Maybe that one. Do I prefer AIO or custom loops? So I've done a hard pipe water cooling video as well as a hard pipe water cooling system, which actually was lovely. I was really impressed with it, especially considering that was the first time I actually properly water cooled, and it was the first time doing hard piping, and I did it all in the kind of watchful eye of stuff that I probably shouldn't talk about online, yeah, it was kind of fun. It was kind of difficult. It was part of the Cooler Master Mastercase 5 mod project that I did. There's a full playlist that you can check out. In terms of just straight up recommending them, if you want to water cool your graphics card or your motherboard or anything else crazy like your RAM for some reason, then having a custom loop is definitely really nice, because obviously unless you buy one of the EK or the SwiftTech kits, you're voiding a warranty and you're breaking the damn thing to be able to get that expanded at all. If I'm just recommending CPU coolers, liquid coolers in general, then definitely just go with an AIO, because it's a lot of effort to build a water cooling loop. Even if you're just going with soft tubing, then it's still a pain. You still do have to cut it to length. You have to make sure that all your fittings are the right size for the right tubing, ID and OD. Make sure that you clean out the loop relatively regularly as stuff gets in it, and have antibacterial stuff in it, silver fittings or something like that. And then obviously make sure that it doesn't leak. Whereas if, for example, if a Corsair cooler leaks onto your video card and wrecks your video card, the warranty should cover not only the cooler but also the video card and anything else that was broken in the process. So that's cool. EK full aluminium had cheaper prices. I think so, but yeah, H100i V2, great one. The Coolmaster Master Liquid non-pro 240 and 120 are fantastic options as well. And I've actually just had a Be Quiet one. I've actually got the 360mm in the Phanteks M3 Evolve over there. That is fantastic. It's glorious. I love it. It's so silent. I mean, you'll see the full review in checks the content schedule. You'll see the full review in a couple of weeks, if nothing else. But that is a glorious CPU cooler, and there's a 240 and a 120 version as well. So I really do recommend those ones. Let's have a look. When is so the Be Quiet cooler is currently scheduled for the 17th. So that's 17th of this month. So yeah, you'll see that not this week coming, but next week. Not this Monday coming, but next Monday. It is the M3 Evolve is my favorite case by far. It is beautiful to build in. It's beautiful to look at. I'm not entirely sure that I like the tempered glass version that much, just because of the way that it attaches. But I think they've changed that around as well, so I might also like it even more. But I really like the shape of the window. If you can see it in the back, it kind of curves up a bit and then kind of hides the power supply while still being able to show off an SSD. So I don't know. Can you recommend the MSI 1080 GTX 1080 Ti? Yes, that's a really nice card. It's ridiculously thick. I'm pretty sure it's a 2.5 slot card. I'm pretty sure I have a review of it, so check that out. Razer's overpriced. Yeah, you could say that. I mean, there's quite a lot of brands that I would generally consider overpriced, or at very least, there are a lot of brands that can very easily undercut some of the other brands. Razer do a really good job of making really good products, making relatively quality products, and they're certainly a sort of trendsetter in the industry. So they add RGB, everyone else adds RGB, kind of thing. So they're certainly a powerful brand to be reckoned with, and generally make some good stuff. There are certainly a few things that I've made clear that I don't necessarily like, but yeah, that's cool. What else? Will me and Jim ever have a caber tossing competition? Oh, no. I've been working out. I don't know. We will have to see. We'll have to see. I don't think we've actually done a proper collaboration, let alone caber tossing. So maybe get that done first, and then we'll see. Also, he lives in Sweden, so and I live in England. Bit far away. Maker 5T is lovely. I did that. Took a look at that for the Chill Blast system review. Also, sorry for the noise. I live next to a road. It's not very good for recording a lot of the time, but you have what you can. Martin, I think Martin knows the troubles of most of our tech. Bank account is now empty. That kind of goes to the Steam sales as well. What CPU should you get for Photoshop? So I don't know how intensive Photoshop actually is, because I don't use it much myself. I use Fireworks to create the thumbnails, and that's about it. I spend most of my time in Premiere. If you're really going for something intensive, then Ryzen 1600 or 1700. They're generally the best value for money in terms of core counts and speed right now. You can go Intel with the 7800X, but that overall platform cost is going to be at least 100, if not 200 more expensive. So yeah, I think if you're going for best value for money right now, generally speaking, Ryzen is a pretty good shout. What did I pick up in the Steam Summer Sale? I actually didn't. I actually spent a lot of time just playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. 1700 to go home, huh? Yeah, I didn't really pick anything up. I actually now have quite a lot of Steam credit though, because I realized that the items that you get in Battlegrounds crates are sellable, and some of them are pretty high value. So you can sell those, and I think I have like 4 or 5 quid. Oh, nice Steam 3D Mark. So yeah, I'm lucky because Tech Press, so I get 3D Mark keys for free, so that's always nice. But I get them free for myself. I'm sorry, I have to clarify that. Yeah, it is. Right. well, if you have any other questions for the people who are watching, feel free to chime them into the comments, and I will answer when possible. But there was, we've been talking about X299, and this is probably a good time to kind of throw that in. Of course, I have done my own X299 content as well, both on just kind of the motherboards, both the MSI, what was it, X299 Gaming Pro Carbon AC, as well as the two ASUS motherboards, the TUF Mark 1 and the Strix Gaming E. In fact, I actually have the Strix Gaming E right here. Here's one I prepared earlier. But I've actually got the 8-core 7820X in here. I actually have two of the 8 cores right now. Oh. This is the one I have to send back. God damn it. No. Cool. It's not destroyed, I promise. ASUS, don't, blacklist me. But yeah, so the X99 chips are out. They're obviously available. I think you can buy them now. They are actually pretty expensive. They're more than I was expecting, especially because a lot of this was a reaction to Ryzen. I think the launch was actually officially pushed forward by 1 to 2 months. Oh yeah, sorry, I realised that the mic is on the table, so you probably heard that quite a lot as well. My apologies. But yeah, so X299 is pretty expensive. As I said, the launch was pushed forward a couple of months as far as I'm aware, which has led to a few issues both in just general compatibility and in obviously some of the other issues that we'll come on to. But yeah, it's an interesting kind of setup. I take it that there's a few people that have said, I love AMD and that jazz. So what do you think of X299? I'd be interested to hear. My experience so far is that the chips are better in comparing them to Ryzen. Obviously, the 10 core, which I've actually got in there right now under the Be Quiet Silent Loop 360, that one is currently running decently faster than a Ryzen chip. Of course, it's currently running decently higher in price than a Ryzen chip, and the X299 motherboards are a good £50 to £100 more expensive for something in the same sort of class as well. So that is definitely something to bear in mind. But when it comes to the sheer benchmark numbers, the actual results are showing that the chips are faster, if not that much better kind of thing. In my experience, just purely benchmarking them for general gaming and stuff like that, the Intel chip, so the 7820X, is faster by maybe 5%, maybe 10%, depending on what game you're talking about. But I've actually got a really interesting video on Monday that I think you're going to really like, basically sort of comparing the 7700K, the 1800X, and the 7820X in streaming performance with PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, GTA 5, and CSGO. And I was actually really surprised by the results here. I think in terms of value for money, things are going to be getting very, very interesting. So yeah, I'm really excited for you to see that. That won't be out on Monday night, so check that one out. Or I suppose if you're in the US, that's going to be Monday afternoon for you. And if you're in the other side of the world, Asia, Australia, it's going to be Tuesday morning for you. But yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Competition is definitely good. I am really, really glad to see that there is a fight. I'm not entirely sure that the current state of the competition is necessarily all that good, because it seems like Intel is trying to throw their weight around quite a lot, especially when it comes to some of the chips that aren't even currently released yet. Obviously, the Threadripper chips aren't currently released either, but we do know quite a lot about the i9 range, or at least the full i9 range, and that one is kind of interesting. I do want to move on to the VRM, I suppose, issue, I guess. It's something that I want to talk about because I've had a few comments about it, and I want to kind of clarify my position, give you some evidence and all that sort of stuff, and I'll probably just, while I'm chatting just check out the benchmark results that I actually have Yeah, the Q3 market share is fantastic. I'm really glad to see that that's gone up a good, 10% for AMD. That's definitely really nice. Oh, see you, 9FX. I'm really glad to see that that's gone up a considerable amount. That is really awesome. Where did I save it? I think it's on my NAS. Yeah, cool. Right, this is probably going to open up on that screen, although I'm not screen sharing. Right, so yeah, there you go. Right, let's switch over that one and put my face in the corner. Right, so I did some testing very explicitly after a few comments came in that said I was either making it up or you know, kind of it's all collusion, it's lies, it's slander. How much did AMD pay me? Because those comments always come in. It's kind of crazy, but they do. So I've been testing the 7900X, that's the 10-core variant. I was testing it currently with the MSI X299 Gaming Pro Carbon AC. That's a fairly high-end board, obviously does have a pretty beefy heatsink over the VRMs, and does have, actually in the setup you currently see it, it's got two 140mm fans in the front, and it has a 360 rad basically directly over the VRMs. So this is a pretty good use case, test case for VRM temperatures in theory. The only thing that it doesn't have is a rear 120mm fan. That's the only one that it doesn't have, that most people would normally have, but for testing purposes I don't. Just because that case doesn't normally have one and I didn't install one for the testing. But this is a screenshot actually just before the system all out crashed on me. So as you can see, I ran Cinebench here and got 1960, which if you look at this result up the top, this is actually a stock run, or this one is a mildly overclocked, like a tiny overclock. The 2198 is a pure stock benchmark run of the 10-core chip, whereas obviously the one that I've currently just run, I was running at 1960, so that is 150 to what, 200, 228 exactly points lower than just a stock benchmark run, and I was trying to overclock this to 4.8 gigahertz, so in theory this would be considerably faster. The problem is that the clock speed just tanks massively. I was trying this at 1.4 volts. You could say that was a bit high, so I even tried a lower overclock. I was running AIDA64 to stress test it as well. And actually the problem is that it tanks so hard that it literally goes into 3-digit clock speeds. And that was at 1.35 volts, and I don't know where this sort of erroneous number comes from, but I was trying to overclock to 4.6 gigahertz here, so what should be a fairly manageable overclock for one of these chips on a fairly high-end board. It does have an 8-pin and a 4-pin, and the system had pretty good airflow, and yet it was tanking like hell. Now I would mention that the chip itself was running hella hot. As you can see, one core, the lowest temperature here is 77 with a maximum of 101, so pretty crazy, and that is also on a 360mm cooler. So yeah, I don't really know kind of how to proceed from here. If anyone has any more tests that they would like to exactly see me run, I mean obviously this is drawing 250 watts, that's crazy, but yeah, if there's any other tests that specifically want to be run here, then yeah, let me know. I did also actually physically touch the VRM heatsink, and my finger was mildly burned, so the VRMs are getting considerably hot, and that was just the top of the heatsink with airflow on it as well. So I don't really know what to say here besides this is a problem that I am observing on all three X299 motherboards I have in an enclosure that has you know, relatively decent airflow, and I'm using a 360mm closed loop water cooler. How is this chip running at 100 degrees Celsius? I did have a fair bit of instability at the higher clock speeds with lower voltages, which is why I went for slightly higher voltages and lower clock speeds. But I have even tried lower clock speeds like 4.4, 4.5 with lower voltages as well, 1.2, 1.25, to try and get the speed up, while obviously leaving the voltage as low as possible. So yeah, this is, I suppose these are my thoughts on VRM gates. It is, wow, almost as hot as here in Arizona. Yeah, I've seen it's kind of crazy over there. How do you survive? I have this small fan here. This is as best cooling I have. And it's like 28 degrees in the UK, which is hot as hell. That's why I'm glistening like a, I don't know, thing that glistens, fairy, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, point is, those temperatures are hella hot, but specifically if you look at the VRM temperatures, which is this one here, it's reporting as 100 degrees, and that is the reported temperature. I don't have a temperature probe to be able to check this out. I do want one very badly, and I will be getting one very shortly, but for the time being, this is the reading that I have, which is 100 degrees on the VRMs, despite having relatively decent airflow. So that is, yeah, that is my thoughts. That is my my evidence. That is my testing, and that is my experience on it. So, what's your thoughts? Also, yeah, AC full blast. I'd love that if it wasn't really expensive and basically not available in the UK. Yep, north of Scotland. No, whereabouts? I was born in Glasgow, raised at East Kilbride, and then moved to England. Let's move this back and move this back. Cool. Right, well, that was all of the conversation pieces that I kind of intended on talking about. Mauritius. I'm going to look up where that is, because then I'll understand, and then, you know, conversations and stuff. So, like, pretty north, pretty... Oh, Edinburgh, nice, fair play. That's, so I do have some family near Aberdeen, so I do occasionally go up that way, but that is very central north. But fair play. Anyone got any thoughts on X299 you want to have a chat about, or I suppose any of the other topics, Arct Vega? I don't have any NDA information for any of those that I can share. Obviously it'd be under NDA if I did, but I don't have any extra information that I can give you, I'm afraid. Or at least information that isn't currently publicly available that I don't already know about. I do also have this, which I want to take a look at very, very shortly. This is one of the first, I think it's the first B350 ICX motherboard, so I'll be interested to have a play with this, with probably a 1600. That's probably the chip I'll put in this one, and do a pretty cool ICX guide. I do want to do a custom PC project that I want to get sponsored and have a lot of fun with, and I'll probably be using something like this, unless well, depends what sort of sponsorship we can get from it, but yeah, the NDA is not under NDA, otherwise that would also be under NDA, and then I couldn't tell you about it. Yeah, I mean, if you have X99 or if you have Ryzen, it's probably not worth upgrading. Even if you have a relatively new, so like 4790K, you're probably not worth upgrading right now unless you can benefit from the extra cores for something like Ryzen. I can't see much of an excuse to really recommend X299 CPUs right now, just because of the value for money proposition that they offer, or the lack of value for money proposition they offer. If you really super need that extra 5% performance gains and don't mind paying 30% more for it, sure. And of course, if you need the 10 core, and obviously Threadripper isn't currently available, although in theory should be fairly soon, then sure, I guess go for it. But understand that it's ridiculously hot, even running at stock temperatures with a 360 mil water cooler. That was still running at like 80 degrees Celsius or something crazy. So understand that that's what you're getting yourself in for. They should beef up the VRM heatsinks, definitely. I think I want to see more people testing it, because that's something that I've tested, OC3D have tested, and Der Bauder has tested, but I haven't seen many other people specifically testing it, so I will be interested to see that. But yeah, for such a high price, I think vendors need to take more time with the boards, plus I feel like Intel should have not used TIM. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the choice of AMD to use solder is definitely a wise one, and I think that it's potentially mildly Intel's fault that the boards aren't perfect out of the gate, because the launch was pushed up a couple of months, if I understand correctly, which does mean that they don't have much. They didn't have much time to be able to actually, refine the boards and catch these problems before they go out the door. I'm interested to see the response, because this was kind of big news and then it kind of went away, and I don't know whether it's just going to stay away because X299 isn't all that popular. I don't know the sales figures, so I don't know if it is or isn't, but I haven't seen as much traction on it, at least on its own. So yeah, Simon, it's thermal paste that they use, or thermal interface material that they use in the Skylake X chips and Kaby Lake X chips, whereas Ryzen uses solder. The point was that we wish they used solder rather than the paste. Yeah, I take it. I'm guessing that EK and XSPC will definitely be happy that they can sell the coolers, the VRM coolers that go on those sorts of Strix boards and the MSI board as well. So yeah, I expect they're fairly happy with that. Yeah, I think there is certainly a limitation to the effectiveness of any CPU cooler on top of one of those chips, just because of the thermal interface material. I am very hasty to recommend delidding, because it does void your warranty. It is very obvious that it's happened to Intel, and especially even if you do have Der Bauder's tool or any of the other actual tools to do it, it is not a foolproof process. You can destroy your chip, and chasing 5 or 10% performance gains and whatever else, better temperatures, you have to have the money to back that up, otherwise it's gone and dead. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that, Martin. It seems a little bit too rushed, and especially the fact that the high-end i9 chips, they don't even exist yet. They're Intel is still tweaking them to be able to make them happen. Yeah, I think, Daryl, I agree. I think that the fact that you cannot really, or at least safely, delid Ryzen makes a good point, that means that you don't need to. It is in a position where you're paying up to £1,000, a little more than £1,000 for a CPU that you basically have to delid to get anywhere near reasonable temperatures and half decent, obviously fantastic performance, but especially if you want to overclock it. I mean, that is part of the HEDT platform, and it's part of the X series, so that the fact that you have to basically delid it to be able to get the performance that you're effectively paying for is kind of crazy. And yeah, Intel's response to delidding in the past, or at least with the 7700K, was stop overclocking, which seems like a really stupid response for someone who sells specifically chips designed for overclocking. What? Yeah, Ryzen, well, I don't think Ryzen was rushed, but I think the problem is that you get to a point in development with something like that where you're just hitting your head in the wall with potential problems, and the thing is that you can't, AMD can only go so far in testing them. So when sending them out to press, I'll have a memory kit that hasn't, I might have a memory kit that was produced right at the start of when DDR4 was a thing, so there might actually be bugs in that memory kit that don't work very well with Ryzen that they can't even get their hands on, let alone actually get me get the motherboard and the chips and stuff to fully work with it. I do think that there's been a massive performance improvement, and I do have some reservations about the Ryzen launch in general and how it was kind of conducted. But at the same time, they wanted to keep it secret, and they did a pretty good job of it. And I think overall the chips themselves I think speak enough for themselves, especially in even their raw performance, let alone their now optimized and slightly optimized performance. And as we see more games coming out with optimizations and patches, it's getting really impressive. I don't think motherboard producers thought the Ryzen would be successful. Yeah, I think that's one of the big things that I saw on launch was I think Gigabyte, I don't even know if Gigabyte have actually done a higher end board than the Gaming 5 or the K7, which is basically the same board. I think that's kind of clear to me that at Computex, ASUS launched a higher end board than the Hero. Obviously, they normally have stuff like the Apex and the Extreme for Intel X or Z270 and stuff like that. So to only come out with a Hero shows a confidence level in Ryzen that wasn't that high, and now that it's met and exceeded their expectations, I think more vendors are coming out with more boards. I mean, I think this is kind of proof of that. It took them 6 months to make this board. But the fact that it's here now in my hands and ready to review is a really great sign, and I think confidence has definitely grown over time. So yeah, have I used the Digital Storm PC? I haven't. I don't know if Digital Storm sell to the UK or at least have marketing in the UK. Sorry for the bashing there of the table. Totally different topic, but any news in that MSI will release their X370 Gaming M7 board they showed at Computex? I don't know. I really like the look of that board. It had the new M.2 heatsink, the one that was connected to the chipset. It's still not as good as the ASUS TUF X299 one, which has a fan in it. That is the best implementation that you can have because it's a large bit of, I think it's aluminium, with a massive bit of thermal padding on it that gets screwed down, and then you have direct airflow over and under the M.2 as well, and a big chip, big bit of metal to actually soak, heat soak effectively. So yeah, but either way, I don't know when that is. The UK marketing guy is currently off, so I will have a chat with him when he's back. I do need to have a chat with him about this. Actually, this is one of them devil chips, yo. Also, for those of you asking in the video, come on, focus, you fuck. Nope, it's not focusing. Well, there you go. Here is an X299 chip. This one is the 8-core. This is the 7820X. I said I have two of this 8-core, the 8-core that is in the ASUS one, and the 10-core. I should have had the 6-core as well because I wanted to do a full video on the 10-core, 8-core, and 6-core, reviewing them all together, as they're obviously basically the same chip, just different core counts. But unfortunately I didn't get the 6-core on time to be able to do the video when I wanted to, which was this Saturday, but we'll have to wait and see and get that. The Prime budget board, yeah, I think the Prime board, I do have one, but it's currently with someone else at the moment. It is quite a nice board. There was a few memory compatibility issues, but then again there was memory compatibility issues with pretty much every motherboard. Except for the Gigabyte AX350, AX370 Gaming 5, that's what I meant. It's been an hour and something, I'm tired now. Cool. Well, that's pretty much everything that I kind of have set up to talk about. I mean, is there any other questions or anything else that you want to chat about? This is something that I want to do on a roughly weekly basis. I don't want to necessarily commit to it on a weekly basis, but especially if this is a good time for people, then I'm happy to do this on a regular basis, kind of on a weekly cycle. I will have to work out what it means by bad primary stream. Please use keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less,
because I don't know, because it keeps popping up with the keyframe frequency is 8.4 seconds, and don't quite know what how much wood could chuck wood. Some wood. Gigabyte X370 K7, so that's pretty much identical as far as I'm aware to the Gaming 5 board, and therefore Gaming 5 review. So feel free to check that one out. Curly Whirly, yes, good. So yeah, feel free to take a look. Oh, nice. What does your night shift entail you doing, Martin? Or Martins? Awesome. So, sorry for the smashing there. Is this something that you want to see again? Obviously, anyone watching the archive, feel free to let me know in the archive comments and on Twitter and stuff like that. But yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's gonna mostly wrap it up. Yeah. I will be back. I should be able to be back next week. I do want to include some kind of just fun community gaming stuff. I would love to hear what games you would fancy playing, if you did fancy playing some community games, maybe some streamed games, so that if you don't have it you can watch it, but if you have it you can play. Let me know, comments and all that jazz. But yeah, awesome, man. Thank you Daryl, for the lovely kind words. Night, Ishmael. No worries, I will attempt to. You too. My gaming side. What do you mean, my gaming side? No worries, Simon. Let me just. Pub, yeah, that's something that I'm definitely down for. Definitely got a few hours in that. I think it's only 39 hours or something, or maybe 40 hours rolled over now, but nothing like my 1,383 hours in GTA 5. Yeah, 45 hours in pub. There you go. Rocket League, I've got that. Hey, hello, Nath. How you doing? I do also want to have some guests on, including some people that may or may not be watching, and a few other people. I have spoken to a few YouTube folk that I'd like to have on just as guests to chat with as well. Obviously, fairly informal, fairly chill, but yeah, nice to chat through some of the news bits and just get chatting with you guys. So I think I will close that one out here. Obviously, as I said, especially if you're watching the archive, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Been lovely chatting to everyone: Daryl, Simon, Martins, Rob, Name, Ishmael, and all the other people who are also in the chat that are too far up for me to check. Yeah, cool. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in the next video. This archive will go up basically immediately. I may end up doing it so that I can lurking forever, thanks. I may end up doing it so that this archive becomes the Friday video, maybe launch that like midday UK time Friday. But that would depend on the load and stuff like that. But there is a video on Bitcoin mining tomorrow, so feel free to check that out. And a few videos coming out obviously next week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday as usual. So cool. Right, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you all next week, next Thursday at 8 PM UK time. And yeah, see you guys.